Let us try this question on percentage change. It is a very important step to read the question and try to understand the setting. So the question says, an electrical goods shop reduces all of its prices by 20% in a sale. So whatever costs an item, let's call it initial cost, it is reduced by 20% to give me the final cost. Question A says, find the sale price of a television originally priced £350. With an old method that used before and is perfectly fine, I would find 20% of 350 so that I can reduce the initial amount by 350. So 20% of 350 pounds was 20%, it's out of 100, of 350, which will give me 70 pounds. This is by how much the price is reduced. So the final price, the final cost will be, if I reduce 350 by 70, I'm going to get 280 pounds, and this is my final cost. Let me remind you that we can solve this problem using another method, which is called multiplier. So we looked in class that reducing the item by 20% is the same as ending up with 80% of it. With 80% of it. So we end up with 80%. Our final price will be 80% of the initial or of the original. We called this 80%, which is the same as 0.8, we call it multiplier. The multiplier is a final percentage. Again, let me remind you, the first method, written in yellow, it's perfectly fine. By the second method, it's faster and would help me solve different types of problems, like the one asking question B here. Let me continue this method. This is why this method is valuable. So I need to find my final price will be 80% of the original price, which is 350. So now if you stop and take a calculator to calculate this, you'd get 280 pounds, which is your final price. So exactly the same answer using a different method. And in our method, we saw that the final percentage, the percentage we end up with, was called multiplier. So my relation was that the multiplier, the final percentage of the initial amount is my final amount. I will now look at question B. So for question B, question B asks, in case B, I know that I go to the shop and I buy a radio with 68. The question is, find the original price of a radio that is 68 in sale. So I know that reduction of the price. I don't know what initially it was, but my question is that after a 20% reduction, I see on the shop the radio to cost £68. And I would ask myself, what was it initially? To calculate 20% of 68, we saw that it's not good because the 20% were applied to the initial amount. And applying 20% to a bigger or a smaller amount would give me different numbers. This is why it's handy to use a previous equation. If it was a 20% reduction, my item initially was 100%. Everything starts with 100%. 100% was initially a reduction by 20% means that I end up with 80%. So the equation with the multiplier tells me that 80% of the initial, which I don't know, will give me 68. So 0.8 times the initial is 68. Now, in order to find the initial, I will need to divide by 0.8 both sides. So I get that the initial price before the reduction is 68 divided by 0.8. And now I'm going to use my calculator. And I get £85. You can check by applying a 20% reduction to the £85 that our result is correct. Does it make sense? Yes, the initial should be bigger than the final because we had a reduction. So my result makes sense. Just to summarize, here in the first case, we know the initial, we know the multiplier, yes, and we know the multiplier and we know the initial amount, and we find the final amount. We have this method which will lead me to the same answer easier. You can use whatever you prefer. Question B is about reverse percentage. In question B, I know the multiplier and I know the final, but I don't know the initial. So I'm using the same equation. If you understood, you can stop. If no, you can listen to me one more minute to show you again how I applied the equation, this equation, in the case of the reverse percentage. So looking here, again, to repeat, I know that after a 20% reduction, 20% reduction means that I end up with 80%, yes? After a 20% reduction, a t-shirt or an item, a radio, costs 68. What was the initial price? And this is how I get the equation above. All other questions are based on the same idea. You need to determine in this equation which two of the three quantities you know and find the third one. Thank you.